All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning in Mexico, good afternoon in the Middle East, or good evening in the Middle East, I guess. I'm very excited to be with you today. Today is my second day, like I mentioned. Yesterday, I spoke about Lean Blockchain Canvas, and I mentioned that my sessions during this beautiful event are connected. And the reason they are connected is because to develop a blockchain-based project, in my opinion, there are three main steps that we need to take. The first one is to work as a team on the Lean Blockchain Canvas documents, organize our thoughts, and then start writing the white paper. Now, what is the third step? The third step, that's going to be my third session, actually, which is going to take place on June 19, and that is the project. So there is a project I'm working on. It's a startup with a friend of mine. We're going to present this kind of startup on June 16. Hopefully, it's going to be a fabulous presentation, as well as the rest. And today is a very, I guess, interesting topic for many, because the resources and the information about it is debatable. And if you try to look for information related to the structure of white paper, you're not going to find the standard. You're going to find different kinds of white paper online, different formats, I guess different languages as well, technicals discussed here and there. So is there a standard? And that's the question that we need to ask ourselves today. Is there a standard? Is there like something that I can use as a guide in order to write my white paper? And what's the white paper in the first place? So basically, I hope today's class or session, I guess, is going to be interesting. My name is Hatem Mabrouk. Like Iman said, I'm a professor of international business and blockchain at Tecnológico de Monterrey in Mexico. We have 30 plus campuses all over the place. We are the first in Mexico in terms of education, university education, and we are number 4 in Latin America because we have multiple campuses. I'm representing today the Mexico City region. So let's get into our PowerPoint presentation today, which is titled as The Structure of a White Paper. So disclaimer at the beginning, I would like to say that anything discussed within this presentation is not to be considered as a financial or business advice, because like I said, this is a very interesting topic, debatable, and the formats of white paper could differ. So feel free to use my basically content that I'm going to share today, implement it as much as you want. I'm going, of course, to answer questions at the end, see if you have any kind of doubts. But like I said, you could have your own format that you feel comfortable with, which is absolutely fine. You want to follow somebody else, that's okay. What I'm sharing today is my own experience that I implemented for successful projects, blockchain-based projects, of course. So let's share my experience and start by defining a white paper. So what's a white paper? The first term and the first white paper that got published dates back to 1922 by Winston Churchill. And that kind of white paper was political or governmental, British governmental, white paper. And I'm not going to discuss the political aspects behind it, but the point is, it's a document that could be issued by governments for political purposes, and it's a document that could be issued by businesses. The European Union, until now, they issue something even called the green papers. There's something called white papers. And we need to understand the business perspective of white papers today. So why do I need a white paper for a business? Well, many businesses, they use white paper because they tend to be used for marketing purposes. So it's like a marketing presentation. And I tend to define it also as a business research paper. It's not equivalent to a research paper issued by, of course, a university or a thesis or a dissertation, because the latter, they are lengthy. But when it comes to business, we need to stick to the point. We need to outline the most important points, the shiny points, the most attractive parts that are really attracting people to pay attention to our business. So it's a marketing presentation mixed up with a research paper. Its main goal is to convince customers to use a service or a product that we are trying to create by using blockchain technology. It's used to persuade potential investors to invest in our startup, which is extremely important. Now, investors, they don't have time. So once more, we need to stick to the point. And we as a startup, we need to bring around partnerships. Maybe there's another partnership, another startup that could actually join hands with us and could work on delivering the idea we are trying to implement on the blockchain. Now, white papers in blockchain, they are the same as the business ones, all right? But they are created, of course, by blockchain-based project founders, the team working with the founders, the developers. Now, some people might say it's created only by the founders. I tend to disagree. It's created by the whole team. It's better actually to be created by the whole team because you need to leave a mark in the white paper. You need to leave a mark. You worked on something, you're the expert, the specialist that worked on this part. So you need to contribute with the rest of the team by writing this kind of white paper. The white paper aims at attracting partnerships, selling a service or a product to potential buyers or customers, and of course, investors to invest in our project, same like the business aspects that I mentioned. Now, it includes facts, data, charts, objectives, statistics, and deadlines, which is the roadmap. So you need to make sure that you outline those deadlines that you need to comply with to make the reader confident in your skills, capabilities, and to reach a level of trust. I'm going to talk about the roadmap later because it's an extremely important part of the white paper, but that's what we need to understand so far. White papers could include sophisticated, complex information that is written by experts and specialists. And when it comes to this part, remember, the average Joe is reading the white paper. So you have to make sure that they understand the information. You have to make sure that those technical aspects, they are clear, they are defined in a very smooth way, and the information is well written and delivered to the mind of the reader. So what's the first part? Cover page. So I know what you're thinking. The Bitcoin white paper does not have a cover page. Well, again, remember my disclaimer, I tend to agree with many, and I tend to have my own way of thinking. And this is my own implementation. Feel free to take it or leave it, of course. But take a look at Civic, for example. They have a very nice white paper. They have a very nice cover page. In my opinion, investors, they like pictures as well, and pictures they like one picture could talk and one picture could deliver 1,000 words, like they say, right? So this is just a sample, and this is again a reflection of my experience. And Civic, as you can see, they include this kind of very nice cover page, hopefully reflecting the idea as well, because a cover page should reflect, should talk, should say what you're going to work on and what's your project about. So this is an extremely important part of the white paper. And of course, you talk later on about the table of contents, and after the table of contents, the headline and abstract. So what do I mean by this? This is should be the most attractive place. So you know, the abstract and the title should not talk much, but at the same time enter the heart of the reader very quickly. Like, for example, think about the Bitcoin white paper, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Wow. So this is going to make me curious. This is going to make me think, well, I believe the next part is even going to be more interesting. So the title should be really catchy, sticking to the point, and at the same time reaching the heart of the reader. And of course, a good abstract should instantly gain the attention of the audience, and that will make them interested in reading further. This is something that we need to, of course, understand. Introduction, 2 to 2.5 pages. This is very important because if you go longer, the reader is going to be bored. You don't want to do that. So 2 to 2.5 pages explaining, of course, different general aspects of the product, general aspects of the problem that you are trying to solve, because you're going to go deeper later. So 2 to 2.5 pages, that's optimum. You can actually do this, and you explain why your project is important and why right now. So time is of essence. And 2021, 2022, or regardless of the time that we're living in, it's very important to link the importance of the implementation of the product in the introduction with time, with the year that we're living in, including all of its challenges as well. That's the most important parts. The part number 4, problem, solution, and product description. So you're going to discuss the problem that you're trying to solve, of course. You're going to speak about the general aspects of it, and then you're going to talk about the solution you're trying to offer in order to sort out the problem. So as you can see, we're working hard because we want to contribute to the community. We're working hard because our project is our baby. And this project is going to, yes, make a name for our team, but more importantly, we want to be remembered. We want to be remembered as those who contributed to the community, helping our people or the world community into tackling a certain challenge that they are facing. So as you can see, this is the shiny part. This is the diamond of the white paper. It is extremely important to outline this, even though it's going to complete technical aspects in a very nice way. Now, this is going to include, like I said, charts, diagrams, technicals, and the information should be delivered smoothly for the reader. Yes, you want to show off your skills. You want to basically outline very important aspects, including those technical ones. But at the same time, you need to respect the level of intellect of the reader, and you need as much as you can to humbly deliver the information. So that's extremely important. The Bitcoin white paper does actually a great job explaining with diagrams how blockchain works. So this is something new for a lot of people. And the Bitcoin white paper did, like I said, a very nice job to deliver such information. Your target market is the average person, and you need to explain the information smoothly. Make sure your arguments, they reflect knowledge and backed up by reference. You want to look educational. You don't want to look like someone who's speaking only his mind. So backing up your basically information by resources is of extreme importance, because there are many wise investors out there. Stakeholders. The stakeholders part comes next. And again, this is my opinion. And when I say stakeholders, we are talking about partners, founders, of course, and the team working on the project, the potential customers that we are trying to target. This could be people, this could be companies, by the way, because actually the company that I'm going to talk about on June 16, our potential customers, they are both. They are people and shops. Okay, so I'm not going to spoil the surprise further, but yeah, we're dealing with both kinds of customers. And of course, the stakeholders finally comes next is the investors, and you need to talk about them. By the way, the interest is different, but the goal is one, all right? So we all have different kinds of interests, but we have one single goal that is of extreme importance to be accomplished. So we don't mind this kind of difference, and we're happy working together because we share the same goal at the end. Oh, the token economics. So, this part is really interesting because many people actually think it's really easy to create a token, but they forget the token economics aspects. Now, it's abbreviated as tokenomics. And some people like myself, sometimes I refer to myself as tokenomist. So instead of economist, tokenomist. So it's a fancy title, but I am not the one who created the title, by the way. It's just a title out there that was created by the crypto community. And this part talks about the economic aspect of the token that you are going to create. Bear in mind that you don't need to create a token for certain blockchain-based products, by the way. This is the part for those projects that are trying to create a token, all right? So you might not need it if you are not building a blockchain-based project by creating a token, basically. So let's talk about this interesting part. Now, there's something called token velocity. This is the most important part that you need to understand. Token velocity is like, for example, I have one student here who just joined in, Alicia. I hope you're well. So let's imagine me, Alicia, and Ulpan. I'm going to send Alicia a token. Let's call it Hatem token. Alicia is going to send the same token to Ulpan. So we have two transactions, right? So these two transactions, they reflect the velocity per token. So we have a velocity of 2, all right? So it's easy as this. Now, fun fact, the US dollar, one single US dollar per year has a velocity of 7. Okay, so that's a fun fact, and this is actually authentic information. Now, Bitcoin velocity keeps going up and down between 1 and 5, 1 and 4. So if our token velocity is below 5, that's good. You know why that's good? Because there is an inverse relationship between the token velocity and the network value. What do I mean by the network value? That's the market cap. The market capitalization of my token. So the lower the velocity, the higher the value, believe it or not. Now, there are many investors who understand the term hodl. So basically people buy a cryptocurrency and they keep hodling it because they believe the value is going to increase in the future when people keep buying and buying and hodling and buying. Now, the velocity in that case is very, very low, but we don't want a velocity of 0. We want our token to be used for a utility. Okay, so this is something that we need to understand. So I'm not talking about volume, do not get confused, because volume, yes, this is the exchange of the token on exchanges for buying and selling the token. So there is a difference here because in one aspect, we are talking about the exchange of the token between customers and the platform. And on another hand, we are talking about, when it comes to volume, the exchange on exchanges of the token to buy and sell. Now, that's a big difference. So there is a mathematical and economic equation. It says token velocity is equal to the total transaction value, which is the volume, divided by the market cap, which is the average value of the network. Now, if you flip around this kind of equation, you're going to get the average network value, which is the market cap, is going to be equal to the total transaction value divided by velocity. Okay, so again, the most important part you need to understand is that we need to have a low velocity. We need to have a low velocity because that is going to increase the average value of the network. That is extremely important. And when you deal with wise investors, they're going to pay attention to this part. Now, there are other formulas, by the way. I want you to read about them, like the Buterin formula and Berneski's formula, or those kinds of formulas, they also include the quantity of the token part. So if someone tells you, hey, I created like a supply of token for 100 million token supply, for example, and he doesn't give you a legit reason for this, do not invest, because they don't know what they are talking about. So there are mathematical equations for this, and I don't just determine the supply based on, you know, mini, miny, mo. It's just going to be basically issued based on mathematical formulas and economics. So I hope that section was clear. Now, token usage guidelines, and this is the part that doesn't only explain how the token would be used and circulated, but it also explains how the money is going to be spent. When you create basically a token for a project, remember, most, if not all, basically blockchain-based projects, they tend to keep part of the supply to maintain the infrastructure of the company. So status, for example, which is what I mentioned here, they kept 20% of the status, or SNT, the ticker of status, they kept 20% of the supply for themselves to maintain the infrastructure. So 20 is a good number. 25 is fine. Anything lower than 20, that's perfect. Anything higher than 25, that's a red flag. All right. So this is how you know whether you should invest in a project when it comes to keeping most parts or a very small part of the supply to maintain the infrastructure of the company. Now, why do you think I'm telling you that keeping the supply for the company is important? Because if a company is in an urgent need of money, they could dump the coin. And me as an investor, I don't want to see this. I want to see, you know, a coin going for an uptrend, like what they say, the crypto community, to the moon, right? So it is extremely important, if I want to take my investors into consideration, to show them that the token usage guidelines are going to make sense. Less than 20 is perfect. Anything higher than 25 is not good. Roadmap, deadlines. Now, I know what you're thinking. The roadmap should be how many years? Is it fine if it's 10 years? Is it fine if it's 5 years? Now, the most optimum time is between 12 and 18 months. So you outline in the roadmap, for example, in October, we're going to do this. In November, we're going to do this. In December, we're going to do this. And you outline all goals throughout a period between 12 and 18 months. Consequently, that will make sense. Anything higher than 5 years, do not touch it. This is not investment advice, but I wouldn't touch it, all right? So I'm not telling you what to do, but I personally wouldn't touch it. Anything more than 5 years does not make any sense for me. 10 years, I'm not going to touch it. Less than 5 years, that's okay if the project is good. Now, MVP layouts. This is the next point, and this is an abbreviation for the minimum viable product layout. So you want to explain, remember, to the average Joe, how the dApp, the decentralized application, is going to work. So I want to use arrows, I want to use graphs, I want to use figures, and I want to explain in a very simple way how the dApp, the decentralized application, is going to work. So that is extremely important because consequently, if I understand as an average person how the process works, that might be of interest to me. Team and advisors, this is the part when you need to outline the team members. Do not put avatars, do not use just a picture. You need to see and you need to allow actually people to see that these are legit people. They have legit LinkedIn accounts. They have legit information. They are decent people. Their advisors are amazing. These are all aspects that can affect investing and using the product or the service that you are trying to offer to the community. So input output, Hong Kong, which is the company actually that created Cardano, they in fact nailed it. And I'm going to stop sharing the screen because I want to share with you actually how they did it. Now, it's actually quite impressive because the team is not only strong, but they shared beautiful information related to how to reach them, LinkedIn accounts, Twitter accounts, and it's a big team. You as a startup, you're not going to be that big, all right? This is a very big company that created Cardano, but they nailed it because everything, as you can see, is so of interest. So this is a very nice sample that can take you through the structure of the team page in the white paper. That's extremely important. Now, let's go back to our PowerPoint presentation. And the next page is the conclusion. Of course, the conclusion is important because a wise professor told me once, the most important parts are the introduction and the conclusion. You can start strong, you can end strong. Anything in between is in between. So basically, you start strong, you end strong. That is extremely important. And the conclusion is basically a paraphrase of the introduction, but you include more information to reflect on what the reader has seen in the white paper itself. So that is of importance. Last but not least, that's the bibliography. The information that you are mentioning in the white paper should reflect education, should reflect legit resources, and you can use APA style, MLA, Harvard, use any style you want, but don't mix up. So be consistent. Once you use APA, it's APA all the way through. You cannot use APA and then MLA. So this is of extreme importance. Now, ladies and gentlemen, 10 seconds. If you need the PowerPoint, you can scan this code, grab your phones, take a screenshot if you want. You can basically scan this kind of code in order to basically download the PowerPoint file that I shared with you today. I hope today's session was of interest, and on 3, 2, 1, I'm gonna go to the next slide, and that is the thank you slide. I would like to thank the organizers. I would like to thank the audience for their efforts. That was, I believe, 29 minutes so far, so I hope I made it in time. If you would like to reach me in LinkedIn, that's another QR code for you. You can add me in LinkedIn, ask me for information. I'm not gonna share with you investment advice, but I can share with you any blockchain related information. I can help you as much as I can. And remember, together we can make the world a better place. That's why I teach. That's why I'm in the university field, because the only way to see the future is through my students and through my own baby daughter. And now is the time, I guess, for questions if we have time.
I want to thank Dr. Hatem, Professor of International Business and Blockchain, Technological de Montréal. Thank you so much, and see you in the next section.
Thank you so much. See you, everyone.